Hey friends, welcome to another edition of 4 Minutes on Friday. Wanted to take this morning and talk about something that has kind of been on my mind for probably the last 2 years at least. It probably goes back further than that, but it's really been amplified in our culture over the last 2 years. And that is the issue of dealing with conflict, how we deal with conflict, how we engage in conflict. And obviously the truth is, if you've been around for very long at all, you know that there's no avoiding conflict whatsoever. It is part of the human condition. It is part of our existence and our living with and around other people. So conflict is a natural part of the human life and the human experience. How we deal with that conflict is extraordinarily important. Most of the time, the places we see a lot of conflict show up, of course, is online. Things are said to people, whether they be friends or complete strangers. Things are said in online settings that we would largely never say if the person was seated across from us. This is one of the dangers, the difficulties of digital media and the social media world that we live in, is that we, for some reason, as people, feel more free to say almost anything we want about or even to someone that we're not seated across from or we're not riding in a car with. For some reason, there is a freedom in saying things, saying deplorable things about individuals or to individuals. So that is one place that conflict has really kind of spun out of control. And it led me to really think about how it is that we deal with that conflict. Our culture right now is that we should fight back. We should even use belittling terms. We should minimize what someone else has said, bring up some obscure thing that doesn't even apply, and yet for some reason in our minds, that statement or that idea completely destroys the opposing argument. And so we throw, basically it is tantamount to throwing garbage on the heap. It doesn't do anything to actually resolve the conflict, the tension that exists. So in just thinking about this, even this morning, what is our tendency? Some of us choose to fight back. And maybe we fight back in intelligent ways. Maybe, dare I say, most of us don't always fight back in intelligent ways. We kind of do the belittling, the diminishing of another's opinions. If we're not fighters, maybe many of the rest of us are retreaters, that as soon as conflict comes up, we just kind of push away, whether it's in person or it's online. We just completely disengage, and we're not going to do that anymore. Those that do that online are probably in the very small minority. Most of us online, we engage and we go in full force. Do you stay on topic? When conflict is raging, when the conversation, and even if it is a civil conversation, which seems to be slim and none, are you able to stay on topic? Or do you resort to, I read an article about this, about the whatabouts. So there's a conversation happening over here, and I don't really have anything to say about this. But what about this terrible thing that's happening over here? What about this? Do you have a tendency to stay on topic and stay with the thing that is actually, the conversation that's actually happening? And if you don't have anything to say about that, do you just kind of, I'm gonna just sit back and listen. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna just engage from a passive position. Or if I don't have anything to say about this topic, this issue that's going on, do I jump to the whatabouts and say, well, okay, that's terrible, or I don't really have anything to say about this. Hey, have you all paid attention to this thing over here, this terrible experience here? That isn't helpful. Well, I'll just be honest. That is not helpful at all. And again, when a lot of times when we are confronted with this, we reflect the dominant feel of our culture, and we belittle the other's opinions, and we become mean and very unpleasant individuals. There will always be people that want to argue with you. Always. How you handle that is a reflection of your character. It is telling everyone else who's involved in the conversation what kind of character exists inside of you. That is not something that can be manufactured. It is not something that you can fake for very long. You can pretend for a little bit, but eventually your character bubbles to the surface and you don't even know it. How you handle conflict tells people about the kind of person you are. I know we're already over our 4 minutes. Bear with me for like 15 seconds more. For me as a Christ follower, my character is not just a reflection of me, but it is a reflection of the one that I call my Savior, Jesus Christ. And if you're in that camp, if you count yourself as a Christ follower, be aware that your character speaks volumes about you and the one that you say you follow. Now, if you're not a Christ follower at all, you don't have to pay attention to all that Jesus stuff that I just talked about, but understand that your character is still reflected in how you engage in conflict. Conflict and difficulty is probably one of the most telling things about where our character is. So, consider these things the next time that you are confronted with some conflict and difficulty, whether it be in person or online. We'll see you next week.